The trial of Bryan Kohberger. We are still waiting to see exactly where this is going to take place. As of right now, it's still set to be in the city. The defense's motion to change the trial location from Latah County is in with the judge. Joining me to discuss, Shavaun Scott, psychotherapist and author. Obviously, the town where it happened, a lot of people feel like, look, this happened here. It should happen here. But the defense put their own little survey out there, initially doing it without permission from the judge. Judge didn't like that, but then allowed it to proceed. And some of the results are in. The defense team surveyed potential jurors in Latah County. The findings: 98% of people in the county are aware of the case, 68% following it closely, and 67% believing that Kohberger is already guilty. Their arguments saying that people are hearing misinformation and they're believing it, that Kohberger is linked to other murders and victims and was romantically rejected and all these different things. Okay, I mean, you can hear that, but, you're going to hear facts at some point, too, if you're a juror. Does it make sense to move this thing just to avoid appellate issues, or should this thing take place where the crime took place?
I think it's reasonable in this case to move it. If you're looking at trying to get as much of an unbiased jury as possible, certainly being in the county where, the capital of Boise, you've got a potential 500,000
Hmm.
population to pull from. So you're more apt to find people who do not already have a convicted sense that he's guilty,
Sure.
and without the all the other narratives that they've bought into, because it's in a small community, they follow things so closely,
Hmm.
and there's not as much going on in that little area. And so people spend a lot of time on this and are very invested in the case. You get over here where I'm at in Oregon and in the Portland area, I bet half the community would be aware of the name, but they probably aren't following the case as they are there in where it
Should
happened.
they do the same survey in Boise just to see? I mean, what
Sure.
what the level is there? Because I mean, I imagine it's probably statistically a bit less. I just don't know how
Yeah.
much less.
Yeah, I think you'd probably find that it's less, and yeah, you're not going to go anywhere on the planet and not find an area where people haven't heard of the case,
Hmm.
probably. But yeah, there would probably be more jurors to pull from, and that just makes good sense to
I mean,
me.
I mean, ultimately, you do want an unbiased jury as best as you can get. People, there's going to be people who do want to get on this case, and they will say play whatever role they need to do that. Um, to me, in this case, though, is it really that difficult to decipher uh, fact from fiction or rumor from not rumor? I mean, I know this is what we do. We talk about these things all the time, so it's fairly clear cut. But I don't know. There's a lot of things. Like there's one where was he connected to this murder in like 1999 or something? He would have been like 4. So I mean,
Hmm.
just common sense and logic would tell
Hmm.
you no, he's not connected to that. But there have been some things that are rumors, but I think they they may be rumors, but I think they border on logistically possible things that could have happened. He could have easily gone to these restaurants that they were at. Some
Yeah,
people say they did see him there. He may have
yeah.
been there. May have had nothing to do with the murder or stalking anybody, but that may have happened. Um, is it that difficult for people to go, oh, this is fact, this is fiction, especially if they make it to the jury and only what's going to be presented in that courtroom is what is permitted because they're viewing it as factual information.
It's so hard to try to find jurors who are not going to be unduly tainted with stories and rumors and innuendo, because they have an emotional, let's say, stake in
Hmm.
believing the story or the rumor. And I think that's the fear. If you get people who are completely convinced that he's guilty, and it's kind of hard to read a lot of the evidence that we do know that's been exposed and not come to the conclusion that he's guilty. I think
Hmm.
most of us would lean in that direction, probably.
Yeah.
And what percentage of people can get beyond that emotional bias? That's the hard part,
Hmm.
I think, is that, as you say, when people want to get on a jury, they'll say, "Oh yeah, I can be fair." But can they really be fair? And
Yeah.
that's probably one of the problems with the human system that we have.
Sure. Here's one for you, and I'm wondering, on the emotional bias of this that we're just talking about. There's very much a free Karen Reed movement. There's very much a Kohberger is innocent movement as well online, that people are, they don't really have any evidence to point in their direction, but they like to get behind something. It's a group, it's a tribe that they can belong to. And another big argument here is that this case has been so publicized that everyone's going to think he's guilty. That's not the case. There's a lot of people who think
True.
he's innocent too. So couldn't that also be argued on the other end, that you may have some holdouts on the other side too that you otherwise wouldn't have, simply due to the publicity of this case?
Yeah, that's a really good point too, that people come in with biases in both directions. And you just don't really know what you're going to get with the jury, and that's the
Yeah.
problem,
Yeah, at the end of the day, you want to avoid any sort of appellate issues. I think it'd be, I mean, if I was in that community, I certainly would want it in my community. But from a standpoint of, let's not keep reliving this for the next
Yeah,
20 years, because there will be an appellate possibility, and they'll appeal it no matter what if he's found guilty.
yeah,
But if they can find some of those things like, oh, it wasn't fair, guess what? Everybody gets to relive this drama and this trauma forever, when these families
exactly.
are just trying to heal the best that they can.
Hmm. Hmm.
Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to follow us wherever you download podcasts, and especially Apple Podcasts, where you can get advanced episode and premium content on our premium channel right there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media so you don't miss any breaking updates on the stories that matter to you most. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. Just search Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Brueski, and you'll find us right there. Again, thanks for watching.